Hello, and as usual, we're going to do our trailer breakdown of Into the Mist, patch 7.4 that's releasing on the 16th of December, and break down as much info as we can. Let's mute this and go through this then and sort of pick this apart. So obviously the 16th of December features the majority of the 7.4 content, with smaller patches subsequently after that. It's a little bit more difficult to predict when those patches are coming out, but usually it's around 9 weeks after the launch of a major patch. So this first look then at the Arcadian, we already saw previews of this in terms of pictures before. This grand arena, which is representing one of the fights within there. We've got the Warrior of Light stepping up to the plate. We've got the crowd in the background with their glow sticks cheering on the championship. This Elizon character may or may not be the champion. A lot of things were pointing towards them just being another character, and the fourth fight being completely unshown so far. So that could easily be the third fight. They do actually show quite a lot more of the Arcadian in this. This shot here then is very questionable. It kind of looks like a post-apocalyptic living memory. We have what appears to be pieces, like the skyscrapers. I'm not sure if this is a flashback of Alexandria and things like that, a calamity that happened, or if we're actually seeing a possible alternative reality of actual living memory. I'm not really sure what's featured there. The only thing that makes me think it's living memory is the skyscrapers, effectively, and that sort of scenery. Then we have Metem introducing the bouts, various different challenges. We have, of course, got the Elizon here, the male Elizon, and we've got a female Elizon on the left there, which we see more of in a second. We have these two on the right side, the Bun Boy and the Midlander, which I believe are a tag team. We've got Dancing Green on the left there and some other familiar characters. Introducing the next part of this, you'll notice that the championship for the heavyweight has a logo. This is very similar to a behemoth's face. You can just about make out the eye there and the fangs. So perhaps one of the challengers uses the power of a behemoth, because of course they use bestial powers to enhance their abilities. We've got the logo for Creative Unit 3. And then we have this picture here, obviously of our favorite character from the first light heavyweight. Electrope has many uses. Presumably the degradation has taken a completely different form. They do appear to be suspended in some kind of fluid, which seems to be within whatever the Mistwake is, or I don't know. There's something going on here, isn't there? There's like the lanterns here or something. Obviously this is something to do with the Arcadian. It just gives me Mistwake vibes, mostly because of the lighting, but it's probably nothing to do with that. It looks like part of the Colosseum or something. Maybe they have been had to go into these chambers for whatever reason to keep them alive, to prevent the degradation going further, but maybe they're being forced to fight. After you remember, the recent storyline with the Arcadian, it was hinted that if they kept on fighting, they would effectively die eventually. We've got this other scene, which looks like a completely different calamity for living memory, question mark. I don't know, this could just be a backdrop for one of the fights or something. We have a big moon in the background, far too big. We've got a sort of, it's kind of Levin in the distance. Yeah, maybe we're witnessing what actually happened on the final days of that shard, or something like that. Gravity seems to have changed significantly. And then we get this artwork of the various Arcadian fighters. Notice that Brute Bomber is there once again. And it's highly proposed that multiple fights, may have multiple characters within them. Obviously, you've got all of the new characters along with the old, but there is a specific odd amount of them. And it was mentioned that the champion could be reminiscent of the statue on the actual patch artwork logo. In a recent interview, Yoshi P hinted at that. So either way, I'm excited to see more of the Arcadian and see this final chapter. I'm sure it's going to be a banger. and we heard some of the music. Then we have the intro to the Mistwake dungeon, where we're seeing a trust run effectively with the Scions. We've got Sveen here and Kryl and Graha running through here. Like we said before, it does look like an underground chamber, like a vault entrance to the rest of the dungeon. So presumably you're going through some subterranean underneath Solution 9, underneath Heritage Found maybe, sort of dungeon, a big dome that looks very elegant in design. And yeah, I presume this could be Dark City Trino from Final Fantasy IX. We've got some, creatures that you might be familiar with, reskins of all sorts of living liquid type creatures, fluid creatures, as well as a behemoth here, which does appear to be in that dome area. So that's the second sort of hint at a behemoth fight, or behemoth being introduced here. Kryl seems to be sort of subdued by this behemoth in an area, so perhaps that is one of the bosses within the Mistwake. We have this, which made everybody collectively post, is this Dragon Ball Z, during the actual trailer whilst it was live on the live letter. Kind of like a scanner picking up little dots that are coming closer. Enemies, presumably. The characters who are voiced here, I've no idea who they are, but we've got some interesting Lalafels being introduced as, or Milala characters being introduced. We've got this, which appears to be one of the bosses within the Mistwake, where there are very few places to stand that are safe. Obviously, lots of movement here. Big sort of electrope energy themed stuff to do with Levin powers, obviously, because that's what happened to their world, the overflow of Levin. You've got a tornado on the left there, lots of AoEs, and lightning strikes Kryl, basically. So Kryl could be in danger. Hopefully we get more storyline to do with Kryl's backstory. Then we're looking at effectively something that's not going to be in the game until 7.45, I believe, right? So this is where we're thinking this is going to be, 9 or so weeks after the launch of patch 7.4 itself. We saw in the live letter a bit more of this. It does look really cool. This sort of painterly effect giving a storybook, a very literal going into a storybook sort of situation. If we pause there, you'll see there's a lighting effects on the characters to give them that kind of texture, lighted effect, kind of like a shader, but they've also got custom made textures as well as shaders in here to give it that kind of almost obviously cartoony look to it, with painted clouds and stuff. You are literally stepping into a storybook, into paintings. Looks really good, doesn't it? There's lots of different routes, 12 different routes with a mount reward at the end of them. This is one of the bosses, I think the only boss that wasn't actually shown during the live letter. This kind of siren, obviously playing her music. This, she's a mer person, and we have musical notes across the top. Lots of water-based stuff going on here. The arena is absolutely beautiful, and I love the art style of these monsters. And they've got the notes going across the top there with different minion icons. Then we've got another shot here of another character within that painterly setting, presumably one of the other bosses within there. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Definitely a minor boss there, fighting with some very interesting spell effects that, yeah, kind of difficult to put into perspective. I love this shot here. It really does look like a completely different game when I look at this. Absolutely gorgeous, and you see the arena for the Mer sort of boss battle with the big sort of fish tails coming out of the sky, out of the floor into the sky rather, with coral and things like that. It looks really, really cool, doesn't it? And then this is another one of the routes. Yoshipi actually took this route today during the live letter, sort of like a ravine, and then basically leading up to one of the other bosses, one of the 4 bosses, with this Favnarian style, sort of almost got like Valagon Manda vibes to her, with the sort of wings on the face. And then we got this shot of the blimp, which is from the main screenshots we've seen of this, with the Science of the Seventh Dawn preparing on their adventures going forth. We've got a shot of Tulialal there with Wook Lamat in the background. And more stuff to do with wrapping up the storyline, basically, leading towards 7.5 in the next expansion. Yeah, this definitely reminds me of Dark City Trino. Look at that. absolutely gorgeous. Hopefully it is that place, and hopefully it has the music to go with it. None of which was demonstrated on this. We had some sort of talking over the top narration from some of the characters. Kryl seems to be very much the main character of this storyline, which made me happy personally, because I want to know more about her parents, her heritage, where she's from, if any of those people are still alive. These people seem to be alive that we've met, the Lalafell. So yeah, lots of open-ended questions. There's a scene here, effectively, where a Warrior of Light is reacting to an evacuation order. That's what it says over these tannoy speakers. And straight after that, we go straight into the Doom Train fight, which, as you can see, we got some good shots of this. Doom Train steaming across the rails. You appear to be on a train. Presumably you're evacuating, and maybe Doom Train is trying to prevent that. Maybe there are people aboard this other train, and just happens to be one of the arenas. It does show multiple spaces on these, so presumably the fight takes place over multiple carriages. I don't know if one of the mechanics will be that you run out of carriages to fight it on, like some form of prevention of a fight going on for too long. But as you can see, the carriages do get dismissed quite quickly, so they're reusing a lot of the technology that you've seen before in Alliance raids and other places. Doom Train looks absolutely hilarious. Evil Thomas the Tank. Final Fantasy VIII enjoyers are eating well. There's some mechanics here with AoEs that seem to be unavoidable. There do appear to be some like jump pads to go higher or lower, though. As you can see, some players are at the top there, so presumably for different mechanics you have to go up or down. It was also mentioned or hinted at during the live letter that there will be some mechanics to do with hiding behind things and moving containers and remembering where things were. So there's lots of laser beams, lots of things to avoid, and as you can see, there's a safe spot here if you were to go between those two containers from the lasers on the left side and the lasers coming from the front. I presume that would be a safe spot for this, but again, it's also got a knockback. There also seems to be the Doom Train just decides to punch you to death with massive fists that come out. Yeah, like a stack marker, multiple stack markers in a row. It just looks great, doesn't it? Cannot wait to do that trial, and that comes with an extreme mode. This fight here, I have absolutely no idea about. It's presumably something story related. Maybe this is to do with the trial as well, but it reminds me of something you would see. The only thing that makes me think it is to do with the trial is because there's the rails in the sky, which is very reminiscent of the summoning of Doom Train. If you have played Final Fantasy VIII, there's the signals that go ding, 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 and then there's like the huge leap in the sky. So this could be the introduction to the trial, or maybe the transition to another phase within the trial itself of Hell on Rails. In fact, I think that's exactly what it is as part of the storyline, and it comes through and does its ultimate attack. Then we got a nice little shot of Kryl painting away, again within the duty or the dungeon. And yeah, there's not really too much to take from that. There's Behemoth as one of the boss fights within the Mistwake. Then, as predicted, looking pretty ferocious with that Levin. Kryl is trying to put out a house from burning down using Drippy, painting water. Well, this is a Lalafell who's lost everything in the corner there. A firefighter Pictomancer, basically, with the... I don't know if that crest, actually... Is that the crest of I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it a little bit. Maybe someone can look up what that crest is. Is that Trino's crest? I don't know. Then we got a bit of Cosmic Exploration, just a hint of that, because that's coming in 7.41, which likely a few weeks after the launch of 7.4. Cosmic has a new moon as well as new tools. So that will not be there at the launch of 7.1. We've got more gathering of things, part of fate events, critical sort of engagement style stuff on the moon for crafters and gatherers, building facilities, presumably using water here for some reason. Anyway, this will be part of the leveling up of different worlds. Got a nice landscape shot of what the planet looks like that we're going to, which is Ozzy's, I think it's called, Ozzy's. Also got some kind of teleportation system there on a ridge. Plot device, and Sphene looking on this. many questions I have about Sphne's eventuality. What will happen to Sphene as a character? I personally want them to continue existing into the future, but we'll see. And is this the first Lalafell that we've seen age? Like, is this the first time we've actually seen an old Lalafell? That is my question. I'm trying to think. A lot of people on social media were like, oh my god, wrinkly Lalafell. Is this the first time we've ever seen that? I don't know, actually. The real question is, what age must you be before you start actually aging as a Lalafell? That is the other important question, isn't it, really? It freezes for a couple of seconds on that shot, and then we get a shot of the new PvP mode, which effectively is an all against all. There are capturable points, which are called triumphs. There's basically a triangle shape here. There's different shapes. Each corner of those shapes has a place that you can stand in. One plus person can stand in those. And once they're taken, you can't take them back. So effectively, it is a bit of a bum rush sort of mode designed to get you into the fray, killing more people as fast as possible. Less about defense and tower defense. It's more about capturing points and killing people as quick as possible until you get 1,400 points total for your Grand Company, with some weather effects as well. We also have a look at Court Crescent. Again, the updates for that are in 7.41, not in 7.4. A look at some of the other phantom jobs, job reactions, so buffs there. As you can see, we're getting Dancer, Gladiator, and Mystic Knight. So there's your Dancer move there, the Love Hearts, and there's Mystic Knight, bringing down that cool-looking sword, presumably buffed with some kind of spells. It's basically a spell blade using melee attacks with different aspects, as you can see there, using a different element. Then we've got the Cialades version of Air Force One, which is a new Gold Saucer update. Presumably there'll be new stuff to spend MGP on, hopefully. This is supposed to be quite an easy one. Yoshi P let it slip that it's a little bit too easy, so maybe it's quite a slow flight through. If you've done Air Force One effectively before, you're piloting a plane and shooting targets. This time it is outside of a Gold Saucer, but you queue inside of it against the Kraken, flying above Hullbreaker Isle and places like that to try and get a top score. Got a nice scene here with the Arcadian in true view, which goes to a noir sort of palette to show Hildebrand, which is in 7.45. So again, we have to wait quite a while before we see more Hildy riding around on a bike. I think that's Hildebrand and not Hardy-Boiled, I'm not sure. Then we've got some Arcadian cutscenes to do with the Arcadian storyline outside of the actual raid. So presumably the other competitors that we have fought against are joining our side. I'm kind of hoping that there's going to be like a Royal Rumble mode or something, since they're going the wrestling route. This is one of the new characters then, so we get to see some bestial transformations. The female Elazin then going complete beast mode, looking really cool, almost wearing what appears to be a version or similar gear to that of the chaotic Cloud of Darkness gear. All of them are going beast mode, presumably for a big battle. Get the splash artwork fading out there to this amazing music, which the music track used in this section is obviously by Rage Against the Machine's Tom Morello, who co-wrote and co-sang and performed a piece of music. And there's that Elazin character. So that's one of the boss fights. It's kind of gothic themed. We've got a succubus with some pretty cool hot pants and boots and a nice jacket. I would really like to get all of that, and some really nice long red hair with a cap on the top there, looking pretty awesome. So that's one of the fights. Really, really cool stuff. Then we get this shot of, I don't know, yeah, so it's the same fight because the same things are held down. So this is still the succubus fight, and we've got these spinning blades that glow, indicating the order of which they'll go across the screen, and she's basically outside of a screen. So this is kind of like a similar to some of the other bits where they go off screen to then do special attacks, but you'll also see that she is attackable here and is doing multiple attacks at once. Lots of AoEs, grinding wheels, things to stand in and die, big AoEs. Looks really cool. Then we get this shot of both of the tag team operatives. So there's a tag team battle, which I believe is the second fight within the Arcadian heavyweight. We've got a blue and a red-haired guy. Effectively, when they transition, they turn into these characters, which is really cool design. Look at that. One's fire, one is water. This is a tag team battle as part of the second fight. There's tidal waves, big molten explosions. using the power of presumably a Sahagin and one of the fire guys. I'm trying to think what this is a cross with. That's easy. That's a Sahagin, but I'm not sure about this. Maybe one of the Ifrit's followers or something. I don't know. Some kind of creature like a salamander. And as you can see, some of the actual effects as we slow down here. So we've got both of them on screen at one time. They do say during the live letter that they share a health pool. So all of these mechanics are happening, going off at once. Lots of different things to place. There's markers on characters' heads as well as on the arena. You know, a blue and a red debuff. Presumably you want to stand in one. Maybe there are buffs to kind of balance as well. And there is also a path drawn out by water and fire. So presumably you're split here. You see it's like some of the parties one side, some of them is the other. Maybe it's balancing debuffs and buffs and making sure that you don't get hit by things as well. These things also appear to move, almost like a water tornado or a spout. Yeah, there's lots going on here, and until we actually, you know, try to fight out ourselves, it's very difficult to look at this and know what's going on. Obviously, there's a fire buff above someone and a blue one. The savage mode of this is going to be absolutely awesome. And as you can see in the background, by the way, everyone else is just enjoying a pool party in the arena. They've got like rubber duckies and, you know, chocobos and moogles and stuff. Very cool stuff. There's the tidal wave, which is one of the abilities they showed during the live letter. Yoshi P pushed the transition on this fight, and the water guy basically tags in from the fire guy and causes a huge tsunami. Then we see more of a storyline about them going beast mode, and that is very much Behemoth, isn't it? That guy has very much channeled a Behemoth into his body, and that is a really cool model, the pure rage. It keeps cutting back and forth in this big arena, this Colosseum. I think it was a previous live letter before today's when I mentioned the weapons on the side of the arena are going to also provide some kind of buffs or debuffs or something to the actual fight. A big axe smashing in the middle there, big AoEs, which causes it to go into a transition of a Warrior of Light and Viper, releasing. And some really cool shots here as well of cross stuff. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Titan's Arena. It makes me think that chunks of this are going to drop off in a Savage mode or something. I wouldn't be surprised. Then, of course, there's one of the abilities you see. There's a safe spot where he's throwing pieces of the arena at you as an AoE. So, very cool stuff. You don't want to get hit by that like those two did. That's probably going to end very badly. And yeah, but from what I have seen, we have seen only 3 boss fights, right? We got the tag team, we got the succubus, and we got the behemoth. So what is the 4th fight? Very excited to see what that is. They have very sneakily placed in more than 4 characters on the patch artwork, but not necessarily implied if any of them are going to be the last fight. And a lot of the speculation is that this character in the center that people are looking at, that everybody thought was a statue before, is actually the Grand Champion. I'm kind of hoping that it is Metem. That would be so funny if the Lalafell just like super powered and turned into something bigger, and that turned out to be the bad guy after all that. But I'm sure there's an interesting resolution to that storyline. The Arcadian has been an absolute blast, and I can't wait to see more. But that's what I have picked up from this thus far. There's not too much else, I don't think, to get from this. But very excited to see where the storyline goes, because Kryl is a cool character. Dawntrail looks amazing. Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to in this one. But a good portion of stuff as well that doesn't come out until like 9 weeks after the actual patch. Let me know what you think about this. Full link to the full trailer in the link in the description. Go and watch it and enjoy the storyline that is being portrayed. See if you can find anything else out that I have not twigged onto. Any potential theories you might have, leave them in the comment section, and I'll be sure to read them because I'm very curious what you think. Anyway, much love, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.